Hello, hello. If there is a gold rush, who do you want to be? The treasure hunter or the person who is selling the shovels? ASML is the person who is selling the shovels. They don't really care about what's going to happen in the gold rush. They care about the people who are going to be buying their shovels. And this is how they're going to get rich. And this is what they do. ASML is a company that produces machines that nobody else can, period. They basically produce, and you can see it here, lithography systems, advanced lithography systems that print patterns on silicon wafers for semiconductor fabrication. Meaning that all the companies that you know of, like Nvidia, Intel, Samsung, pretty much everybody at the end of the chain or the beginning of the chain at some point have to rely on ASML. There's no other way around it. And this is why they have such a strong moat right now, and this is why they have been doing tremendously well. Notice that in the past year they have been up 100%. And it's a European company, it's a Dutch company, and being up 100% is not typical for European companies. This is a very, very strong tech company, the strongest actually right now in Europe. And you will see that their numbers here, their margins and all that are, even though they're slightly lower, they are still very, very high, with return on assets, equity, and revenue and all that growing tremendously well. Now, looking at the AI deep dive, you can see some concerns about China because there is some warnings here. But China has been sort of like a legacy systems there, with China basically trying to get the chips going over there. And the thing is, there is some geopolitical risk on that end. However, for ASML, China is not the big thing. For ASML, the big thing is the second company that I'm going to be bringing up right now. So for ASML, in order to make their shovels, they need to get their handles for the shovels from TSM. So TSM is basically the second step of the chain for chips. So think about it like this. ASML has the printer and TSM has the ink to the printer. So TSM produces the actual chips with ASML machines. So these have to go together. These are the step one and step two of the chain. After these two, everything else comes after pretty much. So for instance, Nvidia's chips, Intel, Google, everybody, Samsung, all of these companies rely on these two, ASML, then TSM. This is what happens for the chain regardless of the company. And this is why they are the shovel sellers pretty much, because everybody has to use them right now. The reason is that TSM also has produced chips that nobody else can duplicate, they cannot copy. So they basically have to buy from them, they are a monopoly. And this is again shows in their numbers. Again, if you take a look at the 1 year, 70%, and 3 years, almost 300%, 250, with revenues going up, net income up, total equity up, free cash flow up. And obviously, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, so it would be nice to get some discount on these for sure. But the margins are also pretty high and returns pretty high. TSM is actually potentially even more valuable. Actually, both are valuable. ASML is also super valuable, but this one is maybe slightly more, I'd say. But still, yeah, both of them definitely top picks for me. AI deep dive, you can kind of see some potential risks here. The fact that they have like 10 customers that are 85% of receivables, the amount of money that they make. But the thing is, this is not going to change because they are a monopoly and they just don't have any other choice. So yeah, it's a point that is just never going to change. The margins look great and they are great. This is not going to turn. I do believe firmly that AI is going to be imploding, not exploding, pretty much. I think it's going to do much, much better even from now. And I'm actually on the side of optimism here, of great optimism, actually. I think AI is going to be huge. And I've seen it work. I'm actually professionally a computer scientist. And I have seen it work. Actually, the tool that I made here is AI has helped me tremendously. And all these numbers and everything I'm getting here are with the help of AI that I could have never done myself, not even in 10 years. If I would do it, I would be doing these things manually. And so I kind of understand how important it is and what can come out of it. And so I think this is going to keep growing tremendously through the years. I see great growth for these companies. So yeah, the second one is definitely going to be TSM because It's a part of the chain that's just unbreakable right now. My third one is a super strong company, obviously Alphabet, that is doing better than I would have ever expected at this rate, at this current price, pretty much, and at this current valuation, where they are basically sitting at about $4 trillion of market capitalization. If you take a look at their income statement, for example, you will see that for a company that has a 4 trillion market cap, they are growing their revenue at 14%, for instance, or 10% in the last 12 months, which is absolutely ludicrous, frankly. And I have examined finer details about Google using the stock alerts system that I have here, which is very granular and tells you finer details that are super awesome here to understand in detail. But there are some very nice facts here. The fact that their incremental invested capital returns are getting better and better, and so their margins are getting better, their incremental returns are getting better, the incremental margins are also getting better. So all these things I don't want to explain in finer detail here. I've made dedicated videos about them, but they indicate a company that is doing well, and as they invest more money into the business and as they increase their margins, they're making more money, actually incrementally more money for the amount of money that they invest is the thing. So yeah, this is a very strong company, and also they are actually taking part in the AI craze as well. They have created their own TPUs, which are pretty much coming um, very close to what NVIDIA does. NVIDIA's mode is not really the chips. The chips are actually TSM chips. NVIDIA's mode is CUDA, the software system. It's tough to actually go away from because there's like millions of lines that need to be rewritten for new chips. This is the big problem that other companies that are trying to compete with NVIDIA have. The whole ecosystem is very tough to actually not replicate as well, but also move from. Like developers are not going to move from that. But the company is doing super well on Google Cloud here as well. Very important. It's not only YouTube, although YouTube is a huge piece of the pie, obviously, which is surging with a $158 billion backlog. So contracts here that could potentially be super lucrative here for Google. And this is why I think Google will keep growing through the years tremendously. And they have been doing that. They still do that in all fronts with Gemini, all their systems that they have. I think they have great mode that is going to keep growing at this kind of pace, which is incredible. But it looks like it. At some point, they will be like a $10 trillion company, insane stuff. But yeah, Google is definitely going to be my third top choice. And I do love contrarian plays when they make sense. I have done that with Meta, for instance, in this channel, and Alibaba as well. When the company's underlying business is solid, and I see some distraction of the stock price for some reasons, which we can talk about, then I'm actually very keen keen to examine what this company is doing and why it has been brought down so much, and whether there is actual potential for it to go back to its previous glory. And so, if we examine this company, the first thing that you see is that the P ratio is ridiculous right now for a tech company actually not tech, it's basically a fintech company of this caliber, and they have been buying shares back like crazy here, actually getting the opportunity, seizing the opportunity to do that. And the price of the stock right now has been super cheap because of all that, and it has been basically getting decimated. Like the last 3 years, you can kind of see less actually than that. It has been going down quite tremendously. But the thing is, the revenue, net income haven't been affected. And when I see that, I'm kind of salivating. I like to see that. You can have some slight drop in margins. Okay, that's going to happen. Not a big deal. Very normal. But when you are looking at revenue and net income that has largely not been affected, I'm thinking, okay, what has gone wrong? And the reasons why the stock has dropped, I'd say the biggest reason is the fact that PayPal used to be like a tech play that was sort of like the payment system, and then it became another payment system. And especially with the arrival of many competitors like Apple Pay, for example, and the rest, this is like, again, like another payment system. And I think what actually turned things badly, sort of, is the fact that they stopped growing at the pace that they were, like 17%, 20%, 18%, and all of a sudden they go to 8%, 8%, 6%, and 3%. So they have some trouble growing. And when the street sees that, they are kind of scared. And the street loves growth, absolutely loves growth. And the thing is, when you buy the stock 5 years ago and it's like $300 or something, each PE ratio is going to be super high, like 60 over here. And this is what I tell people. You can have a great company that is expensive because people flock around it and they buy it at any price. And this is what happened with PayPal. It was a great company that was super expensive. And so at some point, it's almost like a rubber band. It turns around and it comes down. And at some point, it will come down the opposite way. So it will be extended on the opposite side, on the lower side. And this is where you would potentially want to buy as long as the financials are good. And these are plays that I generally really love. And I think PayPal is one of these kind of plays because their actual moat is there. They make a ton of money. And yeah, they may not be the only company for sure, but they still make a ton of cash. And they're buying back shares, a ton of shares. Now for PayPal, I have made a dedicated video that I discuss the finer details. I'm not gonna do it here, but they have been actually trying to move the goalpost, actually pretty much sell the debt that they get because they actually have pretty much their part of their business is the fact that they're actually lending money to people so that they buy stuff and pay later. And so they are trying to offload a lot of these loans, especially European ones. They're basically trying to sell them to banks, for instance, and other entities that are going to handle them. So they want to get rid of the risk, which is frankly kind of nice because it's twofold. You know, they do like the interest that they gain out of this, but they don't like the risk that they have out of this. And they also had some trouble with cybersecurity. They have lost a ton of money because of that, which is something that they definitely have to deal with. But these things, you know, they are not frightening, frankly. They are probably things that are going to eventually dissipate and be handled properly. I wouldn't consider these breaking the business as long as the business is actually making money, which it is for them. At least for now, they are doing fairly well. So PayPal is going to be my contrarian play, and I think it's a top stock to potentially buy and hold for a few years, even if it's not tremendous, or at least it's not loved as much as in the past. It's still very strong and it's very, very cheap, the cheapest it has been, pretty much. So yeah, PayPal is going to be my fourth one. Tell me, guys, which one is your favorite here, if you agree with these picks, or if you would pick something else also. There are some other companies that I was thinking about adding in this compilation, but I thought I'd stay with four because the other ones were a little bit more nuanced. So I thought that I would stay with these that I think are a little bit more clear here. But do tell me your opinions, leave a comment below and let me know. And again, if you do want to see all these, you can take a look at stockainsights.com. There's a free account and you can join and see how the tool behaves. It's pretty awesome. I think you will love it. So take a look and I'll see you soon in the next video. And also please leave a like and subscribe if you're new around here. See you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.